The X-tinction Agenda, comics of the 80s, 90s, and more.
Oh, we're never gonna make it, man. We're never gonna make it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be just fine. We're back. We're back. You're gonna be
Episode
exhausted.
21.
You have to work tomorrow. I do.
No, man. I'm day off. I'm gonna fucking just. I get up early anyway because the crack a sparrow shit does not wait for anyone. And but I got old man problems now. You got this old man problem where you get up in the morning and you're like, I want to do my chores, but nothing's open yet because you're such an old man and you're up so early. That's a problem I got now.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That did actually happen to me the other day. I woke up and I
you're a man now.
Something and everything was closed.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that happened too is that I'm sore. Like I don't know why, but like I can't walk for 3 hours or so when I first wake up.
Okay, well that's good. That might be a health problem. I don't know.
Okay, it's not that bad.
Maybe you might want to see a doctor about that.
Yeah. Just getting a bit stiff. Yeah. Getting a bit could be my fast food intake, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's possible. Too much salt, man. You got some salination going.
Sodium. I got some. Yeah, I'm on the fast track to gout.
Don't get the gout, man. You got to take these fucking pills. I got a pal with the gout, and he feels it coming on, and he's got to take his pills, and it's a bummer.
You don't want that. Maybe Big Jared's got that on the foot. It goes right straight to the foot. You're done.
Yeah. Very painful.
This episode is the Hitman Best of Greatest Hits, starring Tommy Monaghan.
Created by Garth Ennis and John McCrea.
Who you and I had spoken about previously that we did not previously dip into this because Garth Ennis was doing some other beefier projects like Preacher when we were actually buying serialized issues, so we kind of glazed over a lot of Hitman stuff and didn't actually read it. And also John McCrea's art maybe didn't speak I don't know to either of us at that time and place, but now it seems to be pretty great, I'd say.
And maybe this is another old man manifestation because I don't know what it was about this reading in particular that brought me to it. Maybe it's just because I spent some more time thinking about the subtleties of depicting gore in silhouette fashion, which he's fucking fantastic at. He's such a great cartoonist. I think it's just like the blockiness of it. His characters have these like jagged edges that I don't know. I as a younger person, I had troubles getting around. I think probably because of Ennis's collaborations with Steve Dillon, who is very smooth. I just don't think the contrast.
Steve Dillon's. Steve Dillon actually is a complete different kind of animal from this. Like his consistency and also the way that I think another thing too is I don't know if John McCrea does this himself, but even though I liked his art in this, I didn't super duper like the inking, which you said that was like a high contrast thing that was almost like turned out to be like a stylistic type of thing this time. But I don't know that I cared for that much, that part of it where like silhouettes were like blacked out and stuff. I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Spend some. I don't know. This is one of those moments where I wish we were sitting in front of the book together because I just. Okay, for instance, at the beginning, you've got that loser. So Tommy gets woken up. There's the flashback. He's looking all sad. He's in the rain. He's hinting at he lost his girl and his best friend's been killed, and then it comes to the it's a present day moment, and then the flashback to him laying in bed, and he's woken up by someone who's trying to kill him. And the guy's like,
that fat guy breaks into his house.
Yeah. And it's a six panel gag. And basically he tricks the guy into describing, did you come alone? The guy's like, fucking right, I came alone. And then great, and he blows his brains out. And that panel of the guy's brains being blown out, it's like, if you just like, it's all silhouetted and blacked out, but you can see brain matter. You can you see everything. It's just not
Yeah, you're
like
right.
you can see a chunk of brain flying away. And it, I don't know, there's like something, at the same time as obviously it's gore fest, comedy. It's also a great way of getting away with it, because it's still all there.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I read this actually very recently, so that's all that stuff's pretty fresh in my mind too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I can take an agreement that there's like some charm to that style. But,
yeah, I will say that John McCrea is still not my favorite. I think I came away with a better appreciation for what he's bringing to the table, which is nice. I already come to I'm down for whatever Garth is up to. I just think John McCrea was the barrier for me to this book.
oh yeah. In his covers are kind of. Eh.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, they're not very appealing.
Anyway. They look the same. A lot of them, like really.
Yeah.
Like when you close your eyes and think of the Hitman, you can. I don't know. It's like you can describe the same cover over and over again. I don't know. Maybe that's just a dumb detail.
No, I think. No, cover should be better. But whatever. Yeah.
This one introduced Mr. Doubles right off the bat.
Yeah. So Hitman first showed up in a, and anyone listening to this is going to know, he first showed up in a crossover, an annuals crossover called Bloodlines, and it was the Demon Annual of that year. And the whole thing in this, Mr. Doubles is half his body's rotting, and he's pissed off about Tommy having killed his Siamese twin, because and the story of that murder and that adventure takes place in that Demon Annual. So we're dealing with the aftermath of something Tommy's done. Mr. Doubles is pissed.
Yeah, he's super pissed. So he hires Johnny Navarone, the Miami Ice, to deal with Tommy Monaghan. Correct?
Mm, yeah. And Tommy's, I like the contrast between Navarone and so he's so clean, he's dressed in white, like here's some quotes, I already know everything there is to know. I've already found a way, because like everyone's failed to kill Tommy because he's telepathic and he has X-ray eyes.
Yeah, he's a mutant, basically, in a nutshell, kind of, or whatever, right? Or he's a metahuman.
He was infected by aliens in that Bloodline crossover or whatever, and his power was activated. Metahuman.
I like that everything's dealt with in such a low rent as well. Like previous contracts for the Hitman, Tommy Monaghan, were put out at $100K. Then Johnny comes in asking for the big bucks, $500,000. It's like they're pretty small time numbers. I like that.
Yeah, you don't want to. Well, he's a mob boss, actually, and the only reason you're going to get that kind of money is because Mr. Doubles, he's dying, probably of sepsis because he's got a rotting corpse attached to his body.
Yeah, which was disgusting and pretty funny.
I like how it was hilarious. How his body kept disintegrating over the course of these. So it would have been issues 4 through 7. The 10,000 bullets mini story.
Right.
And they don't comment much on it, but he's like Mr. Doubles. Every time you see him, he's worse and worse, and he's got like this.
I like that the one time he has like a RoboCop, he has like basically like a kind of a robotic hazmat suit attached to his brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just everything to stay alive, so that way he can just get, have Tommy killed.
Yeah. Or the other hilarious thing was Tommy was actually in the middle of a contract for $10K, because he usually does even lower rent jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very it's just crime fiction. Low rent is exactly it. And later on, we're going to discover that, he's generally contracted by the government to kill lab experiments gone wrong, and that sort of thing. It's just, and he makes a little money on the side dealing with these things. And yeah, but getting to the contrast between him and Neveroni.
Yeah.
So he's all clean and white, and I know what to do, and I'm the greatest ever. And then it cuts immediately to Tommy, and he's on this filthy fucking couch, and he's smoking. He's leaning back and lighting a cigarette, and there's junk everywhere, and you're just like, fuck, he's a slob.
He's an animal.
Yeah.
I like that they looked alike too, deliberately.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but I guess they sort of did.
They do. They look exactly the same, only one guy's got slick hair and white suits, which was kind of funny too. Like you say, it was a deliberate move. This was about the time that the Night Fist gets introduced.
He'll hit you with his fists. I always fucking thought that was so goddamn funny.
Yeah, you're a big Night Fist fan. I knew it right away.
Yeah. Even when, having not read the book, I remember, because Wizard Magazine loved Garth Ennis, jokes and that sort of thing. And I just remember them talking about Night Fist.
Yeah, who wouldn't? I like that he just beat the shit out of criminals, beat them halfway to death or to death, and then stole their coke, and then just used copious amounts of coke, and also sold it, resold it. Oh, not even cut yet. And he's tasting the coke out in the road after he beats the shit out of some people halfway to death.
He's got his fists are these I don't know how to describe it. It's like, what if you were to take crutches and replace the crutchy bit with giant fists?
Yeah, they're almost welded. If you were to weld a giant metal fist onto a nightstick, and just really stupid.
Yeah, which and this is one of the things that you don't actually get much of a sense of it from. Actually, you get a little bit of a sense from it. Garth this is kind of his The Boys. This was him ramping up to fuck, I hate superheroes. Because I think he has, maybe in the second or third issue, I think Batman shows up and he makes Batman vomit or something like that. And then he teams up with Green Lantern, and I don't know, he buys Green Lantern a drink, or they go to the bar, and then Green Lantern can't pay the tab because he doesn't have any pockets to hold money. And he just generally portrays superheroes and superheroics and that whole genre as just ridiculous stuff on the side. And that's, that's obviously a theme that Ennis is definitely going to pick up and run with a lot in the 2000s.
Yeah, you know what I was a little surprised by too, that they let him. He was like, "Hey, mind if I borrow Superman?" And they're like, "Yeah, you go ahead and you do a Garth story with him." That is very cool, because there are not a lot of moments that carry the mainstream heroes that get brought into this world or down to this level, and it's enjoyable. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah. And Garth, he's just a gag. Loves a good gag. Loves a good joke. And
there were some really cool horror things in here too, though. They did the this is about the time where Tommy teams up with Nat the Hat as well, and they go back into what's their shitty bar called? Did you write that down?
Oh shit! No. I didn't write that down. Nope.
Yeah, well, they have a pub that they frequent with a couple old their old war buddies or whatever, and I like the flashback where they killed SAS guys by accident.
Right, and that sets up a story for much later when the SAS come after Tommy for revenge. Because they even kind of, yeah, because they hint at it, like if those SAS guys, figure it out, we're in a lot of trouble. And then I think maybe the second last story in the run, the SAS show up, and I remember that's the one I read. I remember that one being pretty cool.
Oh, his ideas are great.
Yeah,
and I mean he has a really like a fluidity to his storytelling. He's able to dip in and out of their personal lives, back into action, back out again, back into like building rich past stories about like dumb homemade characters. Like it's outrageously good, really. I thought I initially started reading it and I was like, this feels a bit flat. It feels like kind of a weak version of something. But I didn't give it the time to build when I had said that, because like literally one issue later you were knee deep in pretty excellent shit.
Well, he does such a great job of, well, yeah, you already said it, like building character. And I think it's way back when we were talking about, because we were talking, we got ChuckWatch, right? And so we give Chuck shit for, talking about Eskimos and shit like that. And then we were talking like, why do we give Garth Ennis a pass on a lot of his cheekiness, And it's because he brings out character, like, the relationship between Tommy and Nat the Hat becomes very quickly charming, very quickly believable, and you feel for these characters. So just the quality of the work is superior, even if the content with, say, Chuck Dixon is pretty similar.
Yeah, like I agree with that. Even in the Superman story, which we'll get to in a little bit near the end of this, I had a thought about that as well, where he makes a commentary that bridges on something that maybe Chuck would like to try to say, but he does it in a way where it's inclusive, so it's classier, and that's his overall take on things.
Right?
No, really,
yeah,
that's
no, there's definitely lots to say there. But more prosaically, the contrast between, Chuck's an action writer, and Garth Ennis, in a lot of ways, he's hilarious, but he's an action writer as well, and I love him and McCrea do a really good job of pacing out action sequences. So there's the ninjas that are just like showers of ninjas coming down at Tommy and Nat the Hat, and they're just just killing them, and then they're driving away, and Tommy pulls out like this big pistol, and Nat's like, "What you carrying that thing for?" He's like, "Give me a sec," and he hangs out the window, and he's like, "I'll show you," and it's just like a silent shot through one of the ninjas' heads driving. Next panel, scree, and then big car explosion, and it just comes off so perfectly that it has that movie feel that strangely is really hard for a lot of writer-artist combos to get right. So that lends a lot to this series as well.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So when Tommy first got attacked, and he got shot up by Johnny Navarone.
Yeah, I don't know. What do we want to? Our pronunciation of individuals' names is notoriously bad. what do we want to do? Navarone?
At least we're mispronouncing fictional names. So.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good. Actually, that's not true. A lot of time we do that with real people.
Yeah, we're terrible.
That's okay.
I've got really bad lighting where I am. That's the excuse I'm going to take.
I'm going to just take I'm open to being corrected if anyone wants to contact us. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
We could use the help.
We-
So Tommy's girlfriend realizes he's an assassin, and I feel like she overreacts, but that's just me.
Well, it's because so it's after. So Night Fist is. So Tommy's been contracted to kill Night Fist, who will hit you with his fists.
Yes.
By a crooked cop, Lieutenant Nicky Lincoln. And so he goes to kill Night Fist, and everything's going well, but then Johnny Navarone fucking plugs him one in the stomach, I think, and they manage to get out of there. And the only safe place they can go to is to his girlfriend's house, who they're falling in love and whatnot. Her name's Wendy. She seems like a really strong character, very cool, but of course she kicks them out.
Yeah, she's really angry and says he's a lying piece of shit, which he is. It's true. I just thought she was really mad, but yeah. She kicked them all out, and then basically that leads them to find their buddy chopped up in the tub.
Oh yeah,
which was actually a really cool sort of emotional scene. Also built some motivation for Tommy and Nat to really mobilize.
Yeah, and this is, this happens over 4 issues. Like, this is a different comic wouldn't have, I don't know, it wouldn't have moved everything forward so much. And like, we're still really early in the series. I guess by this point, it's maybe issue 6. And this is a major character death. Big emotional stakes. It's going to reverberate throughout the series.
Yeah, like I felt it. It was really cool,
Yeah.
and it was like kind of grotesque because I think they drained away the tub to see the extent of what was done to him, and they told him not to look. They didn't show you either, it was really cool.
Yeah. So then that brings us to the present day where he's like, I lost my girlfriend, my best friend's dead, and they're about to take it to Mr. Doubles. And
they're gonna go head on at Joe Doubles' house in the dumbest way possible. Well, first they on their way, don't they? When he first got shot up, though, don't they run over that cop's feet? I thought it was a hilarious scene.
It is. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like 3 panels or whatever. It's just like, it doesn't even really make sense how it happened. It's almost cartoonish. He just like turns, and the guy just starts screaming.
He's exploding, and then you can hear him screaming down the block or whatever still.
Yeah. So,
I can semi-imagine that happening in my feet somehow, and it got really like, I think I like reacted pretty hilariously. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. It's just such as like, it's almost as if Garth forgot to include a scene where, like, Nicky Lincoln meaningfully is involved in the scene, so they can get revenge on him. And he just becomes kind of an afterthought in 3 panels. Hey, here's that fucking guy. Let's go run over his feet. Let's get back to the plot.
Garth has a way of disposing of people sometimes, though, in the funniest ways. Because he then is at Mo Double's house with casts on his feet. They drive through the wall and just splatter him with their car.
Oh shit! Was he there?
Yeah, he was trying to warn them. Oh no!
Oh, okay.
Tommy's still alive or whatever, and then they just blast through a window with that shitty car and splatter him. Like he was.
Oh, I forgot that it was him. Okay, yeah.
And he was on crutches with 2 casts on his feet.
Right. I was just focused on, or like in my notes, all I wrote down was, again, it was another moment of pacing. The car goes through the window, it crashes, and there's a couple silent panels. But everybody's horribly injured, and then all of a sudden, just fucking guns blazing, and the action kicks off.
The action pacing's outstanding.
Mm-hmm. So hilarious opener, and that's what he's so good at, and I think that's that's a very important reason why his stories work, is because he's always playing with tension. Like he never lets it get too serious. He uses comedy to like literally lighten the mood, so that way he can punch you in the face again, and just continue the process. Make you feel better and then knock you down.
Yeah, I like that immediately too, because like you say too, like he can do things like their friend just got disemboweled, and then you ran over that guy's feet. You you just get reset, kind of all of a sudden. You're like snickering. And same thing was when things got really serious. They went for revenge. Cool pacing, car death. People are getting butchered, and then he shoots that Mo Double's brothers. I can't remember his name. Shoots the head right off of that corpse that's attached to him.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I started laughing again. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
And then he has a more serious moment when he blows away Mo and Johnny.
Wait, when who does?
Tommy. He kills everybody.
Oh, it's Johnny Nevrone. Yeah, the showdown, and this gets down to the contrast. Like, I think Nevrone got the jump on him. Like, I think he was about to kill Tommy, and Tommy got a lucky shot. It's luck that saves him. He happens to blow off Johnny Nevrone's
dove
fingers
through the air and shot his hand that was holding his gun.
Yeah.
And he even, I think on the way down, he even tells himself he missed, and that was it for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which it's good you don't, for a character like this to work. And maybe Tommy is gonna. I think he's gonna get some really awesome scenes, near the end of the series. But at this stage, he needs to be a lovable loser. He just happens to be surviving.
Yeah, I like the fact that they give you the really the belief when you're reading this story at the beginning of this book is that Johnny Nevrone or whatever is a better assassin than him. Really, he's being
by
paid
a country
more.
mile.
He's being paid more. He's more professional. He's found workarounds for superpowers. He's clear. He's a torturer and a slick tactician, and really Tommy's outclassed, and you get that every step of the way, and that's the, you still get your little win, but it's cheap, but that's the way it should be, I think. I don't know.
With this character, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This book, right?
Yeah. So he gets the revenge, and you're like, yeah. Fucking right, but it's a Pyrrhic victory though. Like he has lost his best friend. Nat the Hat's still around, and he's still got his buddies at the bar, but he's lost his girlfriend. He's lost his best friend. So, maybe he has a little bit of, no, actually, he doesn't even get that 10,000. Like he didn't walk away with extra money or anything. It's he's just got to go and lick his wounds.
Yeah. So they have their that leads right into their little baseball game.
Right. Is that in issue 13?
I can't remember.
Is it before the aquarium thing? Like it's the aquarium episode.
Yeah. First the little baseball game, which was like kind of like tongue-in-cheek stuff. It was funny. And then and then they moved right into the second contract. Dr. O'Hearn meets him at the bar.
Yeah, this takes place. So the first story was issues 4 through 7, and then these next two stories are 13 through 14. So there's a little adventure that we missed afterwards. I don't know what it is, but so anyway, the doc calls because there's been some sort of horrible experiment gone wrong at the aquarium involving undead creatures.
Well, yeah, he contracts them, and then they dig out of them as they're getting the contract about this Project Wormwood, which is basically like the zombie reanimation of dead soldiers or whatever was the original project. But the guy's gone psycho and wants to show it off by using it on zoo animals, I guess. It's just hilarious. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because he, like, if I remember correctly, he turns up the temperature on all the aquariums or whatever, so that way all the animals die.
Yeah, he boils all the sea animals.
So he's a mad scientist, kills all the animals at SeaWorld, and releases the toxin or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's 2 issues.
Really not. It's so stupid that you're not even really concerned about plot holes, like that the toxin's a gas. How would animals that are underwater be exposed to that?
Oh my god, that didn't even occur to me.
It doesn't really matter though, because once you see all the zombie penguins and gators and shit, you're just like, oh, what the hell? Like you're not really even thinking about that.
And I think that gets to that's hard. I was listening to I've been listening to a lot of comics artists, interviews and stuff like that, like Jim Steranko, and they were talking about. I think it was a Howard Chaykin interview, and he was talking about the old timers. They used to have to draw animals, and so a lot of contemporary comics artists, or I don't know if this is still the case, but they fucking suck at drawing animals, and you tend not to see a lot of it. And but McCrea, he's it's not naturalistic in any degree, but he's really good at drawing sea lions and squids and shit like that. Like you
really embrace this.
Yeah. And this story would not have worked if any of those animals looked really janky.
Wasn't there Nom, buddy? That chainsaws his way in.
Oh yeah, I should have wrote that guy's name too, because later on he's gonna cut his own hand off after getting bit.
He gets bit by a zombie baby seal, and Tommy clubs the baby seal. Why they thought that would be funny? I laughed out loud. I was like, "Come on!" And then he's like, "Little eyes looking up at me." He clubs the zombie baby seal, and then guy's got a big chunk of his hand missing, so he thinks he's gonna be infected like zombie. I think he even references Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. And then the other guys help him cut his hand off, and he just wraps it up with a belt, and then they're talking about what a beast the guy is, because they're like, oh, anyone normal would have passed out by now.
Anyone with any sense. It's not just that they don't help him cut off his own hand, but they confer, because he's like, I think if I remember correctly, he asks them what should I do, and they're like, he's like, I should cut off my own hand, and they kind of agree with him because they don't know. They're like, better safe than sorry.
It's just so funny that that this story went on, and there's so much action and things happening and so much plot development, but that little back and forth was one of the memorable diehard comedy scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole story was just an fucking hilarious action romp.
Later on, too, when they catch the bad guy, Tommy confirms with him that how the actual gas works, and that he wouldn't have been zombified, and he actually didn't need to cut his hand off.
And he just looks at his hand. And actually, that would have been really cool to follow this series after that. He constantly would have been missing his hand from I wonder if anything else happens to him.
Oh God, I know. Who knows? And you sadly, the only thing I could think of was I wonder how they're going to play this out when they're playing pool and stuff like that. Are they going to heckle him? Probably.
Yeah.
It's just he plants seeds as he goes along. Oh, because he's got a longevity plan for his writing, and he always does that. Same as the SAS story. Mm-hmm. He puts the seeds in books, and then he wraps up his story arc, and you wouldn't even think that he planted things as he went.
And he knows that he can, because at this point, Preacher was the #1 selling Vertigo book after Sandman, ended. Like Preacher took up the flagship status. So I think he knew that he was like his run wasn't going to get canceled. So he had the freedom to make big plans.
To
yeah.
like play out a bigger section of books, and it worked out really good. The shark scenes were great. The shark attack.
Which one was this? It's been a little while since I read
broke
it.
through the glass and actually like ate the villain.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I think like he might be on the verge of winning or something like that.
Yeah, he was, and then because they were all disarmed, and then the shark breaks through the tank, and all their guns get flooded out.
And then they just go on a shooting spree. That's right. Yeah, it's just a.
Yeah, they're all like just massacring like sea animals and sharks, and it was madness.
Yeah, and then they walk away, and you're happy.
Yeah, you're happy. You're like Tommy wraps up another $30,000 contract or whatever.
So and then the last bit of Hitman that we read for this, issue 34 from February of 1999, called what the fuck did I do with it? A V.I. Sing. Although the title of the story is not revealed till the end. So this is the Superman story.
Yeah, you said Superman and really confused me when we were texting this week, and I was like so shocked and pleasantly surprised to see him in the book. And I was like, Tommy, I think he was like starstruck.
Yeah. What an unbelievably cool guy, you know, and I'm not going to say that this representation of Superman is my I don't recognize the Superman that Tommy talks to in this story is not Superman to me. He's very uncharacteristic, you know, like in some ways it is, but in a very important way he's not. But one thing that Ennis gets right, in my opinion, is that Superman's a cool guy, you know? He's, you know, like it's significant that Ennis doesn't make fun of him in this story, and that there's, if not reverence, then at least I don't know, a professional respect, something about Superman that he treats properly.
I don't know if I liked, like you say, like I don't know if the portrayal of Superman was necessarily like exactly Superman. However, the idea of Superman was there, you know, or the respect for the character was there.
Yeah. So Soups is upset. He's just had a little bit of a bad day, and Tommy happens to be on the same rooftop where Soups has come to brood.
Yeah, and he opens up to Tommy that he had his bad day included letting an astronaut die a heinous death.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Superman's limitation. You know, so he's holding back some sort of nuclear blast furnace on a space station that's disintegrating, while some other people escape, and he notices while he's stuck there. You know, like in order to save those other people, he can't move from his position, and he looks down and he realizes that like one of the other astronauts, the one that they thought perhaps was already dead, was in fact alive but sort of stuck. And you know, he shares a moment of eye contact with this doomed astronaut prior to an explosion, which, you know, destroys the station and kills the man. And he feels, and he feels like shit. You know, he's like, I failed.
Well, I think and then what he clarifies too is that it wasn't the idea that someone died or that I had limitations. It's the idea that he's brought himself up to the point that when people look at him, they think that, hey, Superman's here. He's omnipotent or he's unstoppable, and I'm safe.
Yeah.
And they let their guard down. They look into his eyes and they tell themselves, that's Superman, I'm safe. And that's the look that he saw when he let the guy die. But he had no choice. It was like, save 6 people, save 1 person. It's a and he didn't. It wasn't a situation where he was able to do both.
Yeah, and so he maybe could have, but Garth gets around it by having the, and then God decided that time was up. He's still subject to forces of nature and forces of chance and that sort of thing. Because theoretically he could have saved the man. It's comics, right? He could have done some sort of Superman shit.
He's really fast.
Yeah, who knows, right? Pixie dust. But yeah, anyway, so the look in the man's eyes is like, Superman's not going to save me. That moment of not just you're right, but not failure necessarily on Superman's part, but like, I don't know, like sort of a larger ideological disillusionment occurs in the scientist's mind. Like a bit of dream fades prior to the man dying. And there's something more sad about that. Like if you believed in God and then moments before your death you received absolute evidence that God wasn't real, that's probably a bummer before you die.
Yeah, and he got that split second. Yeah.
And so that's what Superman's bummed about, which is kind of a really cool thing for Superman to be bummed about, because this story wouldn't have been interesting at all if it was just like, I guess I'm not super as I thought, and you're like, it's about something a little bit more than that. It's about him recognizing his own role, or ideological status,
or what he's pumped his own ideological status up to be. He's pushed his own like basically expectation up to a point where he's not really even sure if he can hold it there.
Mm. Yeah, so he him and Tommy are chatting about this, and Tommy's telling him that it's okay, essentially.
Yeah.
The irony of that is really choice as well, because obviously Tommy's a murderer, and under different circumstances Superman would bring him in to justice and shit like that. But so they both of them get they both get a human moment. They both get unmasked for a little bit.
Yeah, I like the whole thing. I liked the run in.
Yeah.
And then that's when is it Tommy that gives the melting pot rant?
Yeah, he gives him the old melting pot speech. That's a good way of phrasing it. Yeah. Yeah, basically the argument that Tommy puts, Superman's the ultimate immigrant, because he just wants to assimilate and serve without retaining cultural identity. So that's that's very troublesome for me. It's troublesome for me to think that Superman would be so stupid as to not have a rejoinder to that, because like Tommy tells him all this stuff, and then Superman's like, I hadn't thought of that before. Superman has thought of all that.
Yeah, you know what though? What if you just wanted to hear something nice?
Yeah, I don't know. You can. It's not a complete. Like. Yeah, you do whatever you want, but I mean, like,
I know Superman's not a complete buffoon, and the argument's goofy. But I mean, you halfway through the rant, what where like basically here Garth would like to cast some blame down on immigrants for wanting to retain maybe religious or cultural ideologies from their home. And bring them to wherever they are. And the argument that Garth puts forth here, which is spouted by Tommy, is that without those things, if you were to let all those things go and start anew and just say, I'm an American, that this would do away with any conflicts or wars or anything, which is a little is pretty naive. I mean, I think when you're reading it and you're listening to it, you I immediately didn't feel like Tommy was saying that. I felt like the writer was trying to convey his American message. But the funny thing is that Garth's not American. So that's interesting. And also the way, when I said earlier in the podcast that it came forward in a classy way, is that Garth's very inclusive when he has Tommy blab this speech, because he immediately first targets Irish people, I believe, or Italian people, which are basically like original immigrants who are predominantly white. So when you include them in the argument for being problematic for holding on to cultural sense and religion and ideologies and stuff like that, it changes the message a little bit, and I think makes it easier to palate. But anyway.
Yeah, and also I agree with all that completely. Except for a brief period, the Irish were not whiteness is a really new concept, and the Irish for a while were considered black. It's a very weird history. But anyway, I do agree with all of that, though, and I think another thing that classes it up is that he's talking to Superman. And they're just having, he's ultimately trying to get at something about what Superman is. He is representative in this conversation of what happens when you give away your old cultural identity and you just, like I already said, you assimilate and you show up to serve. What can you do for your country, not what can your country do for you? All that shit.
Yeah.
And that, that's one way of viewing Superman for sure. And you're right. It is interesting that Garth is, very definitely not American. But another thing that I would make, which I don't know what to make of it, but the title of this story, of Thee I Sing, is from a musical which makes fun of American politics. It's like the theme song. And I didn't listen to it in preparation for this. I had meant to. But yeah, so, that casts a whole nother level of questioning about whatever the fuck this story's about. But
yeah, that's another thing too. Like when you skirt all of these topics, like, is he making fun of the United States? That I'm not clear on that either. Because kind of, I guess. Like sort of in jest toward Superman and the idea of, or does he maybe feel like that was the original idea for Superman?
It definitely wasn't. I don't know. I would have to listen to. I bet. I don't know, but I bet if I were to listen to Of Thee I Sing and look at its lyrics, and I bet there's some line. I bet there's something in there which relates to this. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, it's really. A lot of people look at this story and they feel like Garth really got Superman right, and I don't think he got Superman right in this story, but he definitely did Superman justice in this story, in a really great way. And I do think you're right that Ennis was speechifying through his characters, which he's wont to do. He did it all throughout Preacher, but that's fine. That's another thing that Garth Ennis does in his stories. He tells really great stories, and every once in a while he'll throw a speech at you.
Yeah, why not? And one of the other cool things too, and I think this kind of speaks to what you were saying, is that Superman's up on that roof, and I mean he's Superman, correct? Right.
Affirmative.
So he first of all knows that Tommy's got a hand cannon in his pants. That Tommy's got a gigantic fucking sniper rifle up on the roof with him.
Yes.
And also that Tommy has like metahuman powers, and probably also can see that Tommy's been shot probably many, many times. So he has all of this information as soon as he turns and looks at him. And so that's one of the things where, like, I don't know if Superman really, like, wanted to get into an argument with him. Maybe he just felt like he was kind of a simple guy trying to say something nice to him and didn't really feel like it needed to get taken farther than that. And maybe he felt like that scumbag guy across the street in the building needed to die, and he was just going to let Tommy do his thing. And that's the way I read it. But
that's there's nothing in the text which argues against that. So
it's
that's
dark and
it's a perfectly valid reading.
To Superman,
yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but none of it makes any sense. So it depends on how much you're willing to wave away. I had those thoughts too, though. I didn't have the thought about him seeing like that he had powers, but yeah, I think like Grant Morrison's version of Superman would immediately have assessed everything, and it would have been a much different interaction. But anyway,
well, I even think back to the Kingdom Come Superman, where when he went down to talk to Batman, he knew everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So this Superman's cool, but he's not smart cool. And my Superman's smart cool.
Yeah, you like a smart Superman, which is fair. He's got a smart Superman.
Yeah, well, he's fucking Superman.
How are you super if you're not smart?
You want to go to hell? Huh? Huh, Pink?
ChuckWatch.
You want to go to hell with me?
Time to learn. It's time for us to learn about where Bane came from.
Yes.
Time for ChuckWatch.
I don't have a song ready, but yes,
yeah,
ChuckWatch is back.
I think this one's called Vengeance of Bane. It's from January 1993. It's Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. Lettered by Bill Oakley. I didn't write down the inker. I've been really trying to pay attention to letterers lately.
The inker is Eduardo Barreto.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Yep. It was a real treat, Eduardo.
I'd never read this before.
Hey, Denny O'Neil's the editor. Did you say that?
No, but Denny O'Neil. Okay, so whole thing about
he's got his little
Bane,
hands in this, yeah.
Yeah, he's got his hands in fucking Denny O'Neil. I read just tangent. I read an interview with Denny O'Neil from way back, 1981, 1982, and he comes off very intelligent. He says things that generally I agree with, but he's explicitly stated that he just wants to. He writes melodrama and he doesn't aim towards art, and he just wants to put entertaining things on the page. And, if that's all he's aiming for and he doesn't want to make art, you're like, he fucking succeeded. He's and it's just such a shame. Yeah. So this whole thing about Bane it's a brainchild of Denny. Nightfall, everything. So they had the master plan of, Denny O'Neil. He's got Doug Mensch, and he's got Alan Grant, and he's got Chuck Dixon, and he's like, listen, guys, we're gonna have Batman tested by the ultimate villain, and so on and so forth. But they came up with the entire plot, but they didn't have a villain. They were just calling him Dr. Toxin or something like that, because the only thing Denny knew is that he wanted him to be addicted to Venom. And so Chuck, as the story goes, Chuck's like, well, we're going to need a good villain. We're going to need something that works. And you can't popular characters. If you try to make a popular character, it's not going to work. Popular characters just kind of emerge or organically. He uses the example of the Silver Surfer. He just showed up as someone in a story once, and it just happened to latch on. And so everyone, and I think Denny O'Neil, everybody got kind of pissed off, and they were like, well, fine, you do it then, Chuck. And so Chuck with Doug Mensch and Graham Nolan, they make the Bane. And this is the first appearance of the Bane.
I liked it.
I thought it was the worst fucking comic. It was
No.
fucking awful. Oh yeah,
Really?
man. I thought this was terrible. I think the basic story idea is very cool. It's got a lot of cool ideas, but I like in execution and well, we'll get into it as we go.
Okay.
But I got I just think it's a mess. And I'm shocked that Bane worked. I think it only worked like anyway, go on. So
you think it worked in spite of this?
I think so. That's how I feel about it. I still anyway, there's still lots of good stuff to talk about though.
Okay, well, hilarious Cuban prison. You know, there's some torturers, and Bane is forced to serve basically a hard time prison colony sentence for his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he's born into prison. Yes.
Yeah, and the person telling this story is one of Bane's future henchmen, a guy named
one of his
Zombie.
cronies.
Yeah, who's been in prison for life, and so this I just wanted to point something out quick. ChuckWatch. So Chuck states that he doesn't openly express his political views or whatever, but the first thing that this is about the Caribbean Republic of Santa Prisca, and you know it's analogous to Cuba, and even explicitly mentions Cuba, and there was a rebellion inspired by Cuba, and so you assume there's an analogy between the two things, and the first thing that Zombie calls the Cubans is lazy and blind, and describes their law code as medieval. You know, so like these things are leaking out. You know, like that's like a really explicit way of really denigrating. I guess it would be communists. You know, communist states.
For some reason, I still feel like we structured a pretty neat story for Bane here.
It is a good. It's a kind of a cool origin. Like, you know, like a lot of people are going to play with this origin later. You know, like how Bane came to be and whatnot. It is really neat, you know, and surprisingly, I had a lot of thoughts, or maybe not surprisingly. Chuck Dixon, in spite of himself, tends to give me lots to think about, just in other ways. So Bane, he's serving the sentence of his father. So he grows up, as a baby, in a prison. You know, he only knows prison, but he manages to. I don't know he has like guardian angels in the prison, sort of. But so there's the Zombie, and then he's watching over him until Bane's mom dies of hopelessness, and so Bane, whatever his name was at the time, he's put in the general populace now that his mom's not around, and then is immediately threatened with prison rape by an older man.
Yeah, with like a, just so in case you didn't think he was capable of that, he has got like this nose ring that goes to his ear, you know.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking deviant. That's
and he says they're gonna become good friends.
Yeah, no, and that nose ring thing.
Trog saves him, also knocks him off a second story.
Doesn't save him at all. Like, it's absurd that he's going to become his most trusted henchman later. Like, the guy almost killed him. Like, he probably should have died.
Well, that's when he got spoken to by his own Jesus self.
Yeah, and this is where I found myself having thoughts, and placing this story into Grant Morrison's Batman continuity. So putting aside the fact that Bane talks to his future Jesus self, he's like, which is like, and like, there's something genuinely supernatural about Bane in this story. Like, he has astral visions from the future. He is capable of these later on, and he'll just be like, through meditative techniques that he invented himself, he's able to leave his own body and and self-actualize on like the astral plane. And that's an element of Bane I would love to see picked up more on. Like he's often treated as I just think there's something to mine there. I think there's something about that could have been unique about Bane that I don't know. I don't know what you do with it, but it's just a shame that thing that's located at its very origin is not touched upon later. It's kind of a bummer.
You know what? I don't know who's gonna think that I'm a nutbag for saying this, but I feel like Christopher Nolan's Batman movie, which was outstanding, the third one in his run with Bane, and I feel like he took some things from this.
Oh yeah, yeah, he did.
I mean, his script is completely redone, but I mean, like there are elements where they showed that this was like a story that he definitely like read himself, I would think, or took some inspiration from. Yeah,
the writer Goyer has a long experience in comics, so it's not a that it makes sense that he that they drew on this. Getting back to the Garth Ennis continuity, not Garth Ennis, Grant Morrison continuity thing. So he meets his astral future self. And he's like, I'm the perfect, I'm perfect, and this is what you're going to become. And the only thing you have to worry about is fear, and fear is represented by the bat. And one of the things that Grant Morrison is going to do is have the bat be a manifestation of this entity Barbatos, which in itself represents dark side to some extent. The hole in things, fear, hatred, and it, in having that moment, like it creates a potential spiritual connection between Batman and Bane. And again, it's something that could be explored, but is not going to be, because people know this origin story, but I don't think they go back to it. I don't think they really think about it. So he wakes up from his coma, Bane does, and he wakes up a fucking badass kid, and him and Trog and Zombie are they're working together.
Well, first Bane ends up in that. Basically, they put him in the hole for butchering.
Oh, that's right. Inmate. That's where he gets his name. He's a Bane of all, And
that's they throw him in the hole, and basically he lives down there. He lives down there until he's older, just like smashing rats on the head and catching fish with his own teeth, and somehow not dying of whatever he should die of.
Yeah, fucking trench foot. Something really like he's got super antibodies. Like, this gets back to the supernatural aspect of him. Like,
you shouldn't.
Because later on he's going to learn 7 languages in a library. And
you shouldn't be able to just eat raw fish and old rat-tat-tats from the sewers and stay alive.
Yeah, you should have worms at the least. So and then he gets out and he's a hero in the prison.
That's right.
And this is this is a hard prison, but he's survived in solitary confinement in a fucking death pit or death trap, for decades, essentially, if not a decade. I don't know. And so he kind of runs the prison after that, and and then he starts learning and shit like that. And then
Bird teaches him how to read.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't focus on that too much. Like those art, like it really would have taken away from his gravitas if he was like, C-spot, run.
Yeah, thankfully they just glazed over that with a picture of a book.
Yeah, I learned to read. And then, so he's gonna go on.
Then that's when he also perfects his body with 1,000 pull-ups each night or whatever and all that shit. and then he basically pit fights like a gladiator to keep his prison status up to par with little chunks of shards of glass.
Yeah, so he's a tough guy, and this is all meant to set him up as the sort of anti-Batman. And I think it's really unbalanced. Like, I get the basic idea, which is that Bane. So, what is Bruce Wayne? Actually, first let's talk about what is Bane. You know, he's a victim of state violence. He's a victim of law and state violence, whereas Batman is a victim of crime and interpersonal violence. Of violence which are, like, results from systemic societal inequalities and shit like that. Right. So it's a good contrast, but it's still very unbalanced, because all that Bruce Wayne is a billionaire who, like, his parents got killed. I know that's very sad. That's, but he's okay. Like, whereas Bane grew up in a fucking, like, penitentiary and like, suffered a massive coma at some point and had to fight in gladiator pits and lived in a solitary confinement for a decade. Like, it's just like the shit that Bane went through doesn't in any way equal what Bruce Wayne went through. And
no, Bane actually his entire life as a criminal is completely excusable.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Like, what the fuck? Like he's very poorly socialized, and yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not that I feel for him. It's just like, yeah, the guy's in a lot of ways innocent, and actually Chuck later on is going to play with that, and in a later story, Bane's going to kind of come to terms with that in a very emotionally unsatisfying way. But yeah,
would you call that one of the modes of the hack?
No. Well, we should get to that story at some point. I mean, we got lots of time. No, I wouldn't. That's not. No, actually, it's kind of it's strangely thoughtful now that I've thought about it.
Bane's a great character, though. I don't know. He's a fun character, even though, like, this makes him appear to be completely, like. So this is, like, basically, like, not an organic bad guy that people just fell in love with. This was manufactured.
Yeah. And I don't think people fell in love with him, because people don't know this story generally. Like, people don't read it, but they remember the part where Bane broke Batman's back, and that's it. That's what Bane is to a lot of people. I think maybe it's different since the Nolan movie. The landscape changed a bit after that, but yeah, Bane was just like a thug.
No, he's not just a thug. He was extraordinary. After he learned 7 languages, then they started experimenting on him.
Oh yeah, well, this gets back to him being able to eat raw fish and rats. He's also able to survive military-industrial body, I don't know, psychopharmacological experiments using super steroids.
Yeah, so he's basically turned into a super soldier. And he already had some extraordinary powers to begin with. So, like, basically, Batman's kind of semi-outclassed here based on this guy's trauma levels and power levels, I would think, a little bit.
Yeah, on paper, yeah. But especially when you face him off against Chuck Dixon's version of Batman and Doug Mensch's version of Batman, Batman in this era isn't, to my mind, like, extremely hardcore in the way that he would need to be in order to handle, like, a guy like Bane. one neat thing, getting to the super soldier experiment bit. So Bane goes on a rampage. He's escaping in the helicopter or whatever, and it shows for a moment the image of like a mad scientist, and that mad scientist is Hugo Strange, the inventor of Venom, and it all goes back actually to Detective Comics number 36 from 1940, when Hugo Strange creates the Monster Men. Like one of his first plots involves creating like these super strong, monster men, 15 feet tall, and like using chemicals and that sort of thing. And it kind of posits a continuity between those old stories and old Batman and the present moment, which, it tickled me to see that. And I was like, oh shit, Hugo Strange is actually the guy behind all this stuff. He broke the bat.
Well, that I like that, and I didn't like that Bane killed a shark with his bare hands, but that was also awesome.
Yeah, he just like slows his heart rate down, and then that's right. That's before he goes on his rampage.
Yeah, he reaches into the shark's mouth and disembowels it. I don't know what he did. He's Bane.
So everything up until this point, pretty good. I think if it would have ended there, I might have liked this book more, but sadly it goes on because he goes to Gotham.
And he's got like his creepy little crew.
Yeah.
And that's when they make him a lucha mask.
Yeah, the apparatus. But then he just he's like interacting with like these really low rent like
is this
Johnny
again though?
Depp.
Is this again though? Is Chuck just showing all his cards here by saying like all Spanish people are basically luchas?
It came from apparently it came from Graham Nolan. But it's not. It very much signals his Latin American heritage. It's not. But it comes from Graham Nolan, I think, who had that idea. And it's such a bad costume. It's so bad. I think the mask works under certain, if you give him not a fucking leotard. he's maybe okay.
He's actually wearing combat pants, combat boots, and then he's wearing kind of a weird deep V leotard,
real deep V,
which would be maybe something that like a ballet dancer would wear, and then he's got fingerless gloves, like smoking gloves. And then he's got his lucha mask with his Venom hooked up.
Yeah,
it's ludicrous. It's
it's not. I am shocked that Bane works at all. It's really bad design.
Even the mob bosses made fun of him.
Yeah, no, the freak. And then even the mob bosses.
He said, "Okay,
Johnny,
you're the toughest freaks in the carnival."
Yeah. What's the guy with no nose called? He's like something no nose. He's just like Johnny No Nose. What's his fucking name? Anyway,
they addressed that.
No, they named him right away. They called it, he was the guy that double crossed Bird or whatever. Anyway, just the representation of gangsters for the rest of the story. They're just hey, use guys, who the fuck writes this?
Chuck does.
Yeah, and then there's a real so he goes after the Mencken brothers to set up some sort of he murders the opposition of the gangs or whatever. No, actually, I guess he murders no-nos and stuff. And which was, admittedly that's satisfying. And apparently in a really horrific way, and everyone's almost throwing up. And I like his depiction of Harvey Bullock, who's just really rolls with it. He's just I've seen some disembodied bodies before. Disemboweled bodies.
Oh yeah, he's got what's he got in there? Like a cigarello? He's got like a Colt in his mouth.
Yeah.
gross.
So anyway, after this, it just turns into like this weird Bane is stalking Batman thing, and it's just populated by all these like gangster stereotypes, and even some of the gangsters,
his crew, like
they suck.
I believe that Bane could stalk Superman or could stalk Batman, excuse me, but I don't believe that Batman would not notice that Bird and Zombie were on a rooftop behind him.
Yeah, and Trog, like, what's that fucking extremely hairy troglodyte man? I don't know. It's fucking dumb. He really could have done without those guys.
I like that he's orange too.
Oh yeah. It's like an alternate dimension beast. None of it makes any sense. Like, why is he an electronics master? Like, the only thing we know about him is he's a murderer, an extremely hairy orange murderer. And then suddenly, just because the plot requires it, he's just like, and using trods. Anyway, whatever. They suck.
They really suck. And Batman, one of the other things too, I know you mean Batman, like the Batman that Chuck and Graham Nolan do is not like the hardcore Batman that you would need to fight somebody like Bane. This Batman, I feel like still has the like a little bit of the throwback to the detective type of thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, no, they're operating like, I don't know, it's just like, it's a little old fashioned. And it's fine. Like it's a perfectly serviceable Batman. It's just like, I don't know, Bane's a special customer. Well, I guess he does get fucking his back broken at the end of it. So I guess it makes sense, but I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like their run in though. Like, you'll scream my name. Yeah, but okay, so that's fine, but he says it while he's running away on a rafter or something. It's just like, I don't know. I just think the second half of this book is really, really, well, this is when the hack comes in. It's just really, so he's got a great idea, and then he needs, like, he's got to get from point A to point B, which point B where is him meeting the Batman and deciding he's going to break the bat. And Batman, like that, just that first interaction. And as the writer, he has to do that. And so it's just all of the energy and all of the interest of the story drain away. And the universe that was created at Penaduro, the penitentiary, like that stuff fades away. And suddenly Bane just, he's just kind of like, just like this fucking, he's your typical villain all of a sudden. So yeah, I think it's a really lopsided story. And the one thing I wanted to mention is one of the gangs, like the gangs that attack Batman later are, and this does not help anything, and I don't know why Graham Nolan did this, they look like the Three Stooges, like explicitly Larry, Curly, and Moe are getting beat up. And I don't know why he made that choice. Like this is supposed to be the story that's supposed to launch Bane, and he's like, oh, I know what I'll do, Three Stooges joke. And then no one in editorial was like, whoa, easy there. So I don't know. Yeah, it honestly does seem like they had, they definitely had carte blanche here. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted when they made this book. And I don't know how that happened, but hey.
Keep going.
More surprises.
Oh, yeah. Big surprise. Huge surprise.
Next week.
Big excitement.
It's time to get contemporary. We're going to talk about Thanos.
Yeah, we're talking about the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
What year was this?
July to December 1991.
Oof, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Picked up some good stuff back then. I think probably picked up some issues of Adam Warlock. Tried to talk myself into them being good.
Oh, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I remember reading them at your house, Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah, those those
No,
are
those
really
aren't-
awkward. They're
Those
not
are
great.
bad. I think that was the only comic I could get my hand on, so I was like, this is good.
And we're going to talk about a random issue of Gen 13. Gen 13 number 7.
Stray. That's right.
Yep.
How'd you get your hands on that? Did you have to download that baby?
Oh, yeah. I had to steal it, I'll be honest, because I couldn't even buy it on Comixology. It did not show up as something.
No. Oh, that's weird too, because you figure, I mean, like, no, I guess it's not weird. It was terrible.
Well, I don't know if it's terrible. Maybe it's great. Maybe we're going to have a great time.
We got Jim Lee, right? So, I mean, we'll get something out of it.
Yeah. So if you enjoy cosmic conflagrations and teen angst, come on back
Yes.
to the Extinction Agenda.
Thanks for listening. If you like what we're doing, tweet us at ExtinctionA or drop us a line at extinctionagenda6@gmail.com. Otherwise, feel free to leave a favorable review on iTunes or whatever podcatcher device you're using. See you next week.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.